Join me now from Houston, Texas, author of the New York Times bestseller, United States of Socialism, and director of the film Trump Card, Dinesh D'Souza. Now, Dinesh, hopefully we don't get to that point where Harris is our VP, but I'm just letting our viewers know what could potentially happen. Now, you have to look at the big picture here. Pollsters got it completely wrong, and this is one of the races that they got wrong.
Yeah, the polling community was wrong, and not by a little. They were wrong by a lot. And this suggests that either they are blitheringly incompetent, or I think more likely, they were trying to create an aura of inevitability for Biden and Harris, almost to make it seem like these may seem like ridiculous candidates, but you know what? They're going to win anyway. There's a sort of automatic path to victory. So in a sense, the polling was a form of advocacy.
I believe you had a feeling about this. This is something a lot of Republicans have talked about, that we learned a big lesson from 2016. And so a lot of people say, oh, well, Trump supporters don't want to admit that they're supporting President Trump in this election because they fear what might happen. They don't want to be exposed because we know what happens to Trump supporters. They lose their jobs. People call them racist. It's just not something people want to have to deal with. So if somebody calls them and asks them if they're going to support Trump in this election, they'll probably just say no or hang up. That being said, the pollsters should have kept that in mind in this election. But again, President Trump has made this very clear that he thought this is more about suppression, because why would you donate? Why would you go knock on doors? Why would you make it out and vote the day of election if you think your candidate's just going to lose and that there's no hope?
Right. I think it isn't just that the pollsters were deceived by sort of underground support for Trump, but that they were asking questions in a manner that was designed to get the answer Biden. And that would then allow them to create this sense that Biden was going to win no matter what. So I think that the bottom line of it is the polling community is now in complete disrepute. And they're going to have to do a lot to restore their credibility, kind of like with the media. There's been so much media disinformation, such blatant one-sidedness, that I don't know if these people can even recover from it.
Yeah, and because of all this, the Democratic Party is doing some soul searching, if you will, and some are questioning what the future is for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Will she remain in power? Will they try to replace her?
Yeah, Pelosi has been a controversial figure, and I think obviously there's a good sense that she's a little bit like Biden. She's sort of out of it. And maybe the younger guard in the Democratic Party realizes that she's not necessarily the best face for the party. She and Schumer, the kind of image they present before the public, maybe they're looking for some new blood.
Are you concerned about what might happen in Georgia in regards to the two seats that Democrats and Republicans are fighting over? Again, there's so much at stake here when it comes to the Senate if Democrats take control.
Well, my biggest fear has to do with a certain amount of vote rigging. And my evidence for this is not just the enormous number of individual or anecdotal cases or even whistleblowers, but it's very strange patterns in the statistics. Anyone who does any kind of statistical analysis can tell if there's it's sort of like a guy who wins the lottery 3 times. Something is really fishy because the probability of winning once is low, but somebody has to win. But if you win again and then again, well, now you're basically in the territory where you got to find out if this guy is a distant relative of the people who organized the lottery. And I think that's why in Georgia, I think under normal circumstances, I'd feel very good about the result. I'm just worried that there is some sort of vote rigging now built into the process. And so exposing that is of the ultimate importance.
Yeah. And do you think Republicans are fighting hard enough to keep these seats and also to defend President Trump and the potential voter fraud that's here? I mean, there's voter fraud happening. We've seen several examples of it, and the Trump team has their legal challenges ahead. But do you think Republicans are fighting hard enough?
I think that the mainstream of the Republican base is completely on fire. Now, with regard to the Republican leadership, it's pretty good. Most Republicans have rallied behind Trump. This is not, by the way, the party of John McCain or Mitt Romney or even George W. Bush. On the other hand, there are a few laggards. I think these are people who ultimately are they have a sort of, you may almost call it political PTSD. They're so used to being kicked in the groin that their natural tendency is to drop down to their knees. And so ultimately, those are the guys we've got to help along. I don't think we should bash them. I think we just got to show them that if this election, if the Democrats can get away with shenanigans, They will do it in every election.
Yeah, what really bothers me is that there's some Republicans that have already reached out to Biden to congratulate him when this election isn't certified. Like, that is weakness. People shouldn't support Republicans like that. I mean, what's the point of having a Republican when you're completely weak-kneed and have no spine?
Well, the classic example of that would be Romney. I would call him sort of the gentleman loser. And I think what makes him so pathetic is he takes a certain pride in being a loser. He almost thinks like it's a mark of his dignity that he gets clobbered every single time. And he's like back for more. So this masochistic tendency, I think, is now fortunately quite rare in the Republican Party, although there are still unhealthy traces of it.
Yeah, and some people are saying, oh, well, Republicans are sore losers. They can run again in 2024. But this isn't about being a sore loser. This is about concerns about integrity when it comes to voting and freedom and democracy.
Well, we had an election 2 years ago. Did you hear these complaints then? No. We lost to Obama twice. We never complained about the process. We recognized that Obama fairly beat McCain, and then he fairly beat Romney. So the very fact that we have shown a collective willingness to live with elections in which we lose proves that this is not a case where we are sore losers. We're willing to accept that we lost as long as we can be convinced, and we are the ones who need to be convinced. It's not that the winner needs to be convinced that it was a fair race. If you want to have a really fair race, you've got to convince the losing team that the rules were fair.
Yeah, and polling, if you believe the polls, say that 70% of Trump supporters don't believe this was a fair election. And again, there's so many reasons to be concerned about what's happened in some of these battleground states, and also just the concern of, like, we're still waiting for votes to be counted, all of the voter irregularities that have happened in some of these states. I'm really bothered by it.
I mean, the vote counting was only stopped in the swing states. Biden had a sort of surge only in the places that he needed to get votes, and he seems to have gotten just about as many votes as he needed. So just when you look at all these statistical patterns, and then you have 138,000 votes show up, all are for Biden. Now, this is craziness because the probability of that approaches zero. So this has the same sort of persuasive power as DNA evidence. There's a 1 in 35 million chance that this is not this guy's blood at the murder scene. When you see things like that, a jury is normally convinced, you know what? The guy did it.
Yeah, but the news networks, the mainstream media, they just want you to shut up and accept the results, that are coming from them, again, because they pick out who's going to be the next president of the United States. They don't have to wait for elections to be certified. And if you have any questions, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's what they say. Well, Dinesh, we got to run. Thank you.
My pleasure.